Alright, so I'm gonna preface all of this by saying that I don't know shit about what the fuck I'm about to talk about. I'm just gonna keep it 100% real. I'm probably not the guy to be listening to this about because pretty much everything I'm gonna be speaking about, I haven't practiced enough to. Really, the only reason that you would listen to me about what I'm about to talk about is the fact that I come from a coach's perspective. So even though this isn't my field of really expertise is so far from it, like even relative understanding, I do have the athletic background where I can apply some concepts and then just my overall coaching mindset towards the few things that I know. So I'm kind of going to summarize where I'm at in my journey with martial arts. What are some basic things that I've learned? Yeah, that's pretty much what I'll fucking talk about. So, and I'll talk about some things that I'm workshopping and some things that I'm kind of practicing. Cool. So, I started throwing punches, hitting a heavy bag in about middle school. After a couple years of doing that, very inconsistently, maybe once a month, a couple times a month, for a few minutes, there was a point after a few years where for a couple of years, it was something that I was doing multiple times a week for 5 to 10 minutes. Probably for a couple of years. But that being said, I was doing it with absolutely zero clue what the fuck I was doing. And looking back, I was just hitting the bag as hard as I could. Zero technique, probably building a ton of bad habits actually. And again, really just trying to hit hard. So cool, but whatever. I should say before that, I did have some scrapping with adults in my younger years. I wasn't much of a fighter around the playground in elementary. I was one of the best athletes though. Late elementary school, middle school, again, definitely had some beef with some adults. I got my ass kicked a lot. But towards the end of middle school, I was throwing adults around. So that was fucking cool. Having my moments, even in the midst of getting my ass kicked, but starting to be able to stand up for myself. A couple years into high school, and this was about the time where for a couple years I was hitting the bag consistently. Probably about my sophomore year, I wasn't someone that a lot of people I think would want to fuck with. If you were an untrained adult or anyone my age, you probably didn't want to fuck with me. Just because I was pretty fucking strong, pretty fucking explosive. Over the next year, I peaked in weight, and only now have I finally surpassed my weight back then, which was 185. And for me, I was a big 185. Now, I came away from hitting the bag really those couple years. There was, again, probably once or twice a month, junior, senior year. Getting out, give it a good 2 years, 3 years where I really didn't think, touch, do martial arts. There was watching UFC, but pretty much no anything else. Not even watching wrestling, maybe knowing about jiu-jitsu, hearing about jiu-jitsu a little bit, but never watched any matches. Never went to a dojo of any sort or anything like that. Then, again, after a few years of being out of high school, which would take us to 2-3 years ago, is when I did start to get really interested in self-defense. And it started with just watching a ton of YouTube videos, not actually applying anything, really just watching YouTube videos. So watching self-defense, watching jiu-jitsu, watching a lot more UFC. A lot of UFC actually. Studying the fights, trying to understand techniques, just hitting rewind, being like, oh, how did he get from this position to that position? Like I used to when I was much younger with football, right? Just studying the body movements and trying to, memorize almost, but kind of pick up that kind of flow and that movement, and kind of engraving it in my head so hopefully I can replicate it because that's something that I like to think that I'm good at, right? And I'm going to tell myself and speak that I'm good about it because I want to be good at it, which is being able to watch something and then reenact it. I think that that's a skill. I think that it's something that is always going to help me level up, because if I can do that, then I can watch someone better than me and then become like them, and therefore become better than I was, becoming a better version of myself. So the skill of being able to watch something and replicate it is something that I want to add to myself. And I think one thing that is actually cool is I think that I've become better at that over the last couple of years. And I'm, just thinking about it right now. Martial arts has probably been a part of that, because then as you start trying to apply things, you're just reinforcing that, skill. So that's probably helped me then mentally when you're doing it in the career world, the relationship world, whatever it is. So I really started watching a lot more, taking in a lot more content that is martial arts, self-defense related. Starting to realize that I built a lot of bad habits just when I would get around a bag at certain gyms, again, and just very sparingly. For that first year that I really became interested, like, damn, like, I don't know shit, damn, like, sometimes your first thought, if you're untrained, like, again, you'll probably put yourself into a bad position. So, there's a risk versus reward, I learned, with every movement. And sometimes the reward can be big, but you leave yourself so open that against someone that knows what they're doing, you're just absolutely screwed, right? And your first instinct, like, oh shit, like as a human, like I know, like this is a move I can make, right? It's the first move. It's often one of the most predictable ones, and if it's something that, again, a lot of times, like I realize, like the more upside, like there's that potential danger, right? So there's always danger right around the corner from that super successful move, right? So I started doing jiu-jitsu about 6 months ago. I guess I should go back, because after kind of a year of becoming interested, then I got a heavy bag, one of these, except with a speed bag and a dual hang bag, or a double end, whatever you want to call it. And I honestly, I practiced on those quite a bit. Started watching tutorial videos on like actual instructional videos by a guy that is standing there saying, all right, do this while you do this, and then do this, and this is how you do it, right? And then actually like watching it 30 seconds and then doing it, and then going back and oh, how did I do this? And then recording the video and being like, oh shit, you look like a dumbass myself, right? But fun times, and I did think that I got a lot better. Now, when I show you what I'm doing right now, very first thing I said, I'm not the guy to be listening to and doing this, because I have not been coached. I've been coached in a couple of classes in terms of like punching, kickboxing, and it was by kids my age, and one of them, like, I fucking knew he didn't really know what he was talking about a bunch of time. A lot of the shit was good, but about half of it, like, the other coach was like, because he didn't want to call him out, make him feel bad, make it awkward, just trying to really move on. But like I knew he's like, that's not fucking true, right? Like when you said like, hey, this is like this, and the other coach was like, So I took everything that guy said with a grain of salt, but he did have some good points, because again, basics, he knows more than me. So after about a year and a half of having the punching bag in my house, I started taking jiu-jitsu. I only did jiu-jitsu for a couple months. I racked up multiple injuries. I always get carried away, and that's something when I kind of re-enter, I really try not to do. Taking up challenges that I probably shouldn't take. Dudes wanting to fuck me up because, yeah, I got fucked up by a lot of guys, and I guess there's too many different reasons to really go into right now. I've been dealing with a sprained ankle for a while. Since August, it's now beginning of April. And when I was doing this, December, January, the tail end of November, the ankle was tough. Although it didn't really hold me back because I was very conscious of the ankle. Like there was times that the ankle was tough, and then it would maybe hurt the day after a little bit. Although we are doing much better than with that. My elbow, after one of my first classes, I got put in an arm bar, I got put in an arm bar like back to back to back to back to back, like literally 8 times in a row, no exaggeration, like eight back to back rolls with the same person. And they kept on trying to get me in the same move because these were the only passes I knew, and I kept on trying to pass their guard in the same way, and they kept on putting me in the same position, and I kept thinking, oh, I'm going to be able to get across this differently. I know what they're going to try to do, and every time they kept fucking getting me, whatever, and they kept putting me in an armbar, but I was stronger than this person, so I could break it, right? Even I don't even know if that's the right way that you should break an armbar, right? But then, for like a few days later, like I was like, fuck, my elbow hurts, like in the back, like all this shit, and I'm like, fuck. So it ended up hurting for a few weeks. Felt dumb. There's a couple times I got put in really bad positions with my shoulders, tapped super soon. I fucking hate that. Not really about that. And then my knee, I got put in a knee bar, not even in an actual roll, just like drilling the movement, and it fucking like, the guy had me, bent it back, and I literally like unable to control it. Like it was like, like bro, like it fucking hurt, bro. Like I sounded like a little bitch. Like it hurt so bad. It hurt terribly. And it was just like uncontrolled, just like I let out a noise because like I was like a wounded animal in that fucking moment. That shit fucking hurt. And I'm just getting back from that shit, and it's been like 3 months. So, shit fucking sucks. So that was my last jiu-jitsu class, but I've watched a lot more since then, and I've, been working on this bag, and so I just kind of want to say, with that being said, with now you kind of have my background and my perspective, because again, it's now for me, like I have been a licensed personal trainer. I've helped a lot of people working out one-on-one. I understand how to coach body position. I have a football background, played college football. I get kind of body positions and athleticism to a good degree. So I've had a few scraps actually post graduating high school, post getting out of college, which is fun. I think that every guy probably needs a few of those in his life, to be completely honest. At the same time, I wouldn't want anyone to get permanent problems, but some people, that's what the fuck they need, right? Because that's literally what some people need to change, right? And some people, they deserve to be hurt. It's just true, right? Some people deserve to be hurt, right? That is what it is. And they need to be put into check, and maybe they need to be derailed, and maybe they need to live with something that sets them back because what they're doing is not good. So I honestly, I had 3 shoulder surgeries, and that's something that I had to tell myself, right? Like, if I was on an amazing trajectory in my head, right? And being hurt, I felt like, man, like maybe I just wasn't the person that was going to deserve all the success I was going to get. And that's why I had to go through an injury, right? And maybe, I like to say sometimes, like, I am karma, motherfucker. When if I make someone else's life worse in some way, like, but I didn't feel like it was wrong, like, in that moment, I just say, fuck, I'm their karma. They're bad karma, but it doesn't make me bad, right? That's just the situation. So, what have I learned? I've learned that you always have to be aware of your surroundings, because the best self-defense is getting the fuck away, right? So I would always be mobile, right, before anything else. It'd be fast, mobile, and be able to run for a long time. And I'd be able to carry any of your loved ones and make sure that they're prepared for the same thing, right? And have a plan to evacuate yourself and your loved ones, and a plan for you guys to, when you're in a certain scenarios, to be able to get yourself out of those scenarios and to prepare for those things. And then to always have spatial awareness, because the number one self-defense is always going to be preventing it. 100%. Now, if you're in a position where you can't run, if running is no longer an option, or if the fight's already started, even if the fight started, you can fucking run. But if self-defense isn't an option, let's say we are fighting. Again, awareness. Are they alone? How many people are you fighting? If they're not alone, you got to do this shit on your feet. Because if you go down and it's one on multiple, and they got people on the ground and people standing up, you're gonna get your head smashed in. So who are you fighting? What's the situation? If you are alone, you're gonna wanna go to the ground, in my opinion, unless you're very strong on your hands or it's not safe on the ground because there's objects around you, the ground is a certain way. A lot of scenarios on the ground, even if it is, you can still go to the ground. Just saying. And the reason you're gonna wanna go to the ground is because leverage is a real thing, and the farther they are away from the ground, the more power they can produce. That's just flat out. So when you get the fight lower to the ground, you decrease the danger, right? Because now that permanent brain damage, the chance that you get permanent brain damage, right, which is probably the worst case scenario that could happen if you get into a fight, okay, is permanent brain damage. I would say that's worse than getting paralyzed, right? But getting paralyzed is probably number 2. All right. The worst thing is you could die. Fuck. Okay. Shit. Whatever. Second thing is probably brain damage, because now, even if I'm paralyzed, at least I can still think, right, and listen and hear and see the people I love, right? Now, maybe not everyone would want that, but I would say that it's worse than getting paralyzed, because how would getting paralyzed be worse than being brain dead? Because, like, if I'm brain dead, what's the point in not being paralyzed? Can't do anything anyways, right? So permanent brain damage, I would say, is the number one thing that you're trying to prevent. And the easiest way to prevent that is to lower the power, right? And the easiest way to lower the power is to decrease the leverage. So to decrease the leverage, we're gonna have to get it to the ground. So that is my opinion on why to get it to the ground. Because even someone who's completely untrained, that's completely out of your league, could still knock you the fuck out, okay? And maybe if you're a fucking complete stud, in that case, in fighting, you're probably still not watching this video, right? Because you probably know more, you've probably picked up like this guy, but maybe you are. Respect. Now I will be, I'm fucking recording it, right? Cool. But most of you that are watching this video right now probably aren't in a position to be in a stand-up game with anybody, because anyone, I'm telling you, it just takes one. It just takes one fucking shot, right? And please tell me that you've had a lesson in your life where you've learned all it takes is one, right? All it takes is drunk driving one time and you could kill a family, right? I know I'm like fucking extremely morbid in this video, but this is serious shit, right? Because this stuff really is life or death. The reason I'm making this video is because I want people to feel secure, right? Because there's a point in my life where I didn't feel safe, right? And that shit sucks. I really don't think there's anything worse than not feeling safe. How can you sleep at night, man? Like, I want to sleep peacefully. How can you sleep peacefully if you don't feel safe? And the ones that you love, if you don't think they're safe, right? So this is about you feeling safe, being able to have peace, right? It only takes one, right? Drunk driving one time, you can kill a whole family. It just takes one punch in the right spot out of a million, right? Hey, 1 in a million, you want to take I don't want to take any chances of brain damage, right? So I'm taking that shit to the fucking ground because I feel like I know enough and I'm going to judge it, right? And this is, again, awareness, right? So it's, hey, what are my surroundings? Who are they with? What are my surroundings? What is around me? What is this person, right? And maybe your order is different for all of those things. Maybe you assess who's your closest threat first, right? Maybe so it's, what are they? What is their level? That's probably what you should do first. You should always have the spatial awareness, right? But then, who are they? What are they? Who are they with? What is around me? I want to get them to the ground. I want to clinch or do a takedown of some sort without getting hit, right? So a lot of times my perspective is if I'm with someone more aggressive, I'm probably going to let them try to make an over-aggressive mistake and use their momentum in terms of how they move against them to move into a position where I can take them down and hopefully take control of their back in the process, right? So I'm behind them and they can't do anything to me, okay? If they're not being aggressive, run, right? Because if they're not fucking actively engaging with you, plan A was getting away. But again, if you can't do that, say they have buddies, right? If they have buddies you're probably fucked. Like in most scenarios, like if you're not trained, you're probably fucked, right? So I would say never look scared, never look weak, but they're probably not gonna go fuck if you look tough. You literally are gonna want a reason. And I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm in any way, shape, or form prepared to tell you how to beat up a group of guys, because honestly, I don't fucking know. I really don't know. Like, I don't know what I would do in that scenario. I'd probably beat up the guy closest to me first. I'd beat up, right? I think like what you would need to do is throw multiple punches quickly. But if you miss one punch, they're on you. So again, running's always gonna be the best option. But yeah, hopefully you got a lot of punching power and accuracy. And I mean, footwork's gonna have to stay in place. That's one thing that is huge, right? Is footwork on the punching, and I'll get into that here in a second. But go to the ground, get to their back, choke them out. If you can't get to their back, is there some way you can submit them with their wrist, elbows, shoulders, knees, ankles? Is there some way you can submit them? Is there some way you can make them uncomfortable? Like, oh shit, this guy knows something, I don't want to do this. Can you out-grit them, right? Can you just show them on the ground, like, hey, I'm tougher, I'm tighter than you. Can you land a couple punches? Just be careful and protect yourself. That's the biggest thing. If it stays on the feet, you are going to want to, like, if you maybe you look at this guy and you're like, oh shit, like, you see a cauliflower ear, you're like, oh shit, like, no, this guy, like, I don't want to go to the ground, I don't feel good about it, right? And a lot of times if a guy's significantly bigger than you, it's going to be really hard to go to the ground and be successful unless you know what you're doing, right? If it's someone smaller than you, even if you don't know what they're doing and they don't know what they're doing, you can go to the ground, right? And a lot of times, sadly, I think you will get into confrontations with people that don't know what they're doing. You need to be really scared when you get into someone with confrontation that does know what they're doing. And that's why, again, running is always going to be the best option. So, jabs. Everything is set up off of a jab. Hand position, that's going to be fucking different for everybody, right? You know, you're taught, keep them up, right? If you're barefoot, I've heard, don't go too close to your face because they can get hit into your head and you can cut yourself, right? Muay Thai, you see people more down and out, right? Boxing, you see people up here, right? So there's all these different styles. And then you see motherfuckers in kickboxing, they got their shit down here, right? Bah, 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 right? So you gotta find, I think, what's comfortable for you, right? A close stance, a wide stance. It's all gonna be what feels best for you, right? I had multiple times, like, I was telling, like, keep your hands up, keep your hands up, keep your hands up, right? But then where I think is, like, I like being, like, more down here, right? I think I like that. But then I feel like when shit gets messy, like, I will find myself up here, right? So, but that's, again, where I don't have enough practice in that matter to tell you too much. One thing that I did learn that seems to work is to step when you punch and to drive and twist your punches in. I think that's a big thing that I think people miss out on. I think they just throw a punch, right? And they don't snap it and rotate it so that thumb is actually facing down all the way. Now, most of what I say here, because I'm not going to speak about things that I don't know about, and if I do, I will say, hey, I don't really know about this. And like this is an example where I feel like 9 out of 10%, like 90% of what I'm saying is probably true. Now it's like where I was told to do this, like that might not be everyone and that might not be completely right. But probably to that point I am right? So I've been told don't throw another punch until this hand returns, right? And so then in the same token, as I'm doing this, I want to step, right as I throw that punch. Okay? The other thing is you probably noticed that it's almost like I'm chopping wood or throwing an axe, right? I used to think that this was like a punch, right? Like, and again, like this is none of those things, but this is kind of every person's technique, like do what feels natural to a degree. But now I punch more like a chop, right? Where it's more like, it's not punching out necessarily, but it's driving in and chopping that elbow down. So that's something that I learned that it felt really weird, but then the more I just practiced stepping and punching, it felt a lot more natural, and I could see how I could generate a lot of power from those positions, and it helped me keep my hands up. And again, I know I said I like this position, but even if I'm going from this position, when you chop and snap that elbow, you get so much more power even out in front. Okay? So what else? Hooks. You're throwing a hook. And this is something I learned from throwing kicks. I always felt like this is where, like, I just learned this a few months ago, right? Probably about 6 months ago. After having the bag for like a whole year, maybe it was about a year ago now. After having the bag for about a whole year, I always felt like, man, like my hooks are so weak, man. Like I always, it hurts, so uncomfortable, I'm unstable when I throw these hooks. Never once did I think about getting my hips around it into it. It's stupid, right? And then once I realized, I was like, oh, I'm fucking stupid, right? So actually how I figured this out is I felt like, man, right, because this is my typical stance, right leg back. I felt like my kicks with my right leg were strong as hell, right? Always kicked football with my right leg, strong squat, felt like powerful kicks. Left leg, right, from this position, so I knew it, like, but even from this stance, right, left leg felt weak. From the front, wasn't even a point. Wasn't even a point in throwing that kick from the front. It was so weak. From this side, it felt nothing like my right. So what I found, because I watched the video, I looked it up, I found that if this is my target, when I kick, I'm going to do it with my right leg here, right leg back. My kick doesn't stop right here. Where I'm aiming that kick is back over here, right? So I'm actually swinging all the way through that direction. So then with my hips, what that does to my hips is instead of rotating to here, right, just going into there, it takes my hips all the way around. And now my entire body, all my weight, all my momentum, all my power, all my torque spinning through that foot is so much stronger. So instead of, so much fucking different. And so from the left leg, from that front leg, I can show you like why it was so weak, right? Because I'm like, no one's gonna give a fuck about that. Like, no one's gonna give a shit. Right? Wussy shit versus much different. And again, I know that probably looks terrible. It didn't feel good. Not something I've been practicing a lot lately. Just gonna be 100% candid. Something that I learned, even if I haven't practiced it, I learned it. But hopefully you can get the demonstration. So, jabs set up everything. Right? It's a good movement because, like I said, the risk versus reward. A jab doesn't open you up too much, right? If I come out with this, like I'm all out here, right? And like they're gonna say, oh, don't throw it. Like obviously, well, you're throwing it like a dumbass. Yes, it still opens you up more. So the closer you get, the more access they have, right? So a jab is a nice space creator. It's a good way to get a reaction, right? And it also charges up your body, right? So a thing that I learned is that one movement charges up another one, right? So my left sets up my right. Okay? So just like with the hips are with the kicks, the hips are going to be with the hooks, right? So I can jab, straight, jab, hook, right? And again, like a lot of shit I'm going to do is like, all right, I came out and around, like I recognize I'm doing shit that's not correct. I don't have good technique. I'm going to try to tell you how to do it. Right? I had a coach for this. I need a coach for this. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Now, if we did a one-on-one session, yes, we actually would get a lot done, and I would be able to have you doing it looking fairly good because I can look at what it looks like, right? Now, it's not necessarily because I know, okay? But before I'm coming in here, I'm like, but it's when those hips really get in there, right? And it's the stepping and it's the driving. So everything plays off the jab. So if I can tell you one thing, if you have to stay on the feet, it's develop a good jab that you're comfortable throwing, and then learn how to play off of it. So, number 1, run. Number 2, go to the ground. If you can't go to the ground, stay on your feet and develop a fucking ground game so you can be there. What's your knockout punch, right? For me, I'm right-handed. I have a very nice, strong right hand. Or my right leg is very strong, right? So those are probably, if I'm going to knock someone out and end the fight quickly, or hit them hard enough that they're going to want to stop early, right? Which is good for me. It's probably going to happen with one of those strikes. So what are your powerful strikes, right? Figure out the couple movements that you really like, where it's like, oh, fuck, like this is my movement that jives with my body, that feels natural, that I can set this up, right? So here's now a couple things that I've been workshopping, right? And I'm going to start with something very simple, right? Because this is probably the fucking thing that I do the most, right? Is literally sit here and go boom, 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 boom. Just stepping. Just fucking stepping, right? Because this can be slowed down and sped up, and so that I can feel comfortable, right? And it's just about feeling comfortable in that position, right? And if I can do that slow, well, I can do it fast better, right? So it's, to me, that's where I can spaz on someone if I get that opening, right? I mean, you've seen it in UFC. There's a point where it's like you just fucking get to unload if you get them into a certain position where they're not able to throw back fast enough and they're just simply defending yourself. And then it becomes about hand speed, right? And I want to have good hand speed, so that's something that I've been working on. And then, of course, on batting, right? So that's something. And a lot of people hate the bag. Oh, you're just keeping your standing in quick stand, like you're gonna get knocked the fuck out. Yeah, probably. Again, don't listen to me. But this is some stuff that you could probably do that if you're very conscious of how and why you're doing it to the best of your ability, right? That's all you can do, right? No, not everyone can afford a great coach. I wasn't able to, right? So I learned off the fucking internet, right? Like everyone else has to learn a lot of shit, right? It's not always gonna be fucking perfect and pretty from the beginning. If anything, that's what makes it fucking better. So, I've been doing that. Something that I like as well is doing those hooks off either side. Right? So, that is something else that I don't like as much. Like, I don't feel good doing it. But I've been practicing because if I feel like if I get good with this right hand on a hook, it's going to be fucking strong. So that's something that I saw recently that I really like is that like fucking Superman style punch. That like over the top. Because that's something I feel is very fucking powerful to me. So something that you'll want to get good at is that jab again. Because if you have a good jab, then you can do what's called a feint, right? Or a fake, right? Where I'm going to set you up. I'm not going to punch you. I'm just going to, right? Or, right? Right? You fake them, and then you set them up, okay? But if they don't respect your jab, they're not going to go for it, right? So that's something where this is exactly why I wanted to develop that front kick, right? Because I felt like if people respected my front kick, then just from watching UFC, like you see guys, like if they get for 5 minutes straight, if just every 20, 30 seconds you land a fucking hard kick on their calves or their inner thigh, their legs, after 1 or 2 rounds of that, they're fucked, right? And I imagine it's the same thing in the streets, where if you can land 3, 4 kicks hard on someone's legs, they're going to be feeling that, because they're going to be moving a little bit differently. Now, you've made that fight extremely safer for you, and you're much more likely to win, right? So, I wanted to be able to do that, but then I felt like if I just land one big kick, right? Right? If I can just land one, which that is a great move right there. Kick to the fucking nuts. That should be one of the fucking moves that you get good at. Right there. Okay? But if I can develop a strong lead leg and get them to respect that, I've seen it multiple times in UFC where dudes get knocked the fuck out because they try to guard a kick and they put both hands down, or one of them, right? And they get knocked the fuck out. So, right, if I can come in, hit with a jab, leg kick. Oh shit, that was kind of a hard leg kick, right? Oh fuck, this guy's not playing. Oh, damn! Fucking done, right? So one more time, right? This is again, imagine you're setting someone up, right? So they square up. You say, no man. Hey, you don't want to do this? I'm good, man. Like, we don't need to do this. We can work this out, right? He's got a buddy over here, right? You're not gonna be able to run. There's one door. Buddy's in front of the door. Hey man, come on. Okay, shit. He comes in. Boom. Hit him with a jab. Right? Show him you're not a fucking bitch. Right? He might rethink everything. Right? Hit him with a jab. If he doesn't blitz you, hit him with another jab. Right? Jab. Right? Now leg kick. Right? If you don't want to throw that right hand, if you don't feel comfortable getting him in, and if you want to just throw a leg kick after one jab, every situation is gonna be different. Right? Now me, I'm hoping that no one is going to fuck with me to begin with, and that I can get them to the ground if I can't run. I'm very fast. Again, I'm always going to run first, right? Now, for me, I'm not trying to end the fight in one punch. I'm not necessarily capable of doing that like I don't have that in my skill set, really. Like, I haven't practiced that, right? So to imagine I could do it is dumb. If the leg kick is open, I'll throw leg kicks. But the reason I've imagined more that I'm going to need a couple jabs is because I want to open up the legs. And I think if I hit them with a couple jabs quick, that'll open up that front kick, which again is not a very dangerous movement for me, right? So if I jab, front kick. Jab, front kick, right? At this point, if they're not trained, they may be like, okay, like, this dude just hit me with a combo. Jab, front kick, right? Well, that's not it. Jab, front kick, right? 2 kicks. Right now we've hit him with 4 moves. Right now, what's he thinking? He's like, oh shit, this dude was for real, right? Fight fit. That's it, right? Now, if you're a female, I suggest kicking him in the nuts, jabbing him in the eyes, and running. Now maybe that would work. The jabbing in the eyes, I think that's dangerous, right? I think that's like, you open yourself up, you're going for a very small spot, they can easily grab your arm. Especially if you think you hit them in the nuts, you hit them in the inner groin, or they just, right? So I would not. But hitting that inner knee, kicking that inner knee, just right? Right to that inner knee, buckle their knee. You can hit them in the nuts, Run. If you're a small female, you're probably not going to have that knockout power, right? And then so at this point, maybe I couldn't get him to the ground before, boom, and then maybe I swarmed from behind, and I put in my choke, right? So there's probably a couple other things I've been working on that I'm not really thinking about right now. I'm also really fucking hungry. I got a sauna. It's been 40 minutes. I was thinking I'd have this done in about 20. So, cool. Thanks for coming. I hope you learned something. I hope you were entertained. I hope that you stay safe. I hope that you don't get hurt. I hope that you and your families are able to survive. So, good luck, have fun, stay safe, stay fucking dangerous, lift weights. Who's gonna carry the boats, right? So, just want to see everyone be the best versions of themselves. And maybe if everyone could fight, then no one would fight. You ever think of that? No, I mean, that probably will never happen, but it won't. It won't. And that's just the one more reason to be strong, right? If you look around, it just seems like people are trending in the wrong direction in terms of like their health and shit. So, and their awareness. So, just try to be the best version of yourself, right? Don't be like everyone else. Most people are weak and can't protect themselves. You don't want to be like that. You want to be able to feel safe. and sleep good at night and walk around in dark buildings late at night when it's dark outside and you're all alone and not feel scared, because I can beat up most people, right? I can't beat up everybody, but someone's gonna have to be trained to fight me, right? Not just any Joe Blow can fucking fight me, right? Now, there were some guys in jiu-jitsu who were much more trained than me, who got me into chokes at times, but couldn't dominate me all the time. Certain positions, I was just too strong. I could just hold them. Right? I would just hold them. Now, is that winning? I guess, like, when I say it, it's like, dude, all you're doing is holding them. You sound like you're not doing anything good, but I mean, at least I was neutralizing them. I felt good about it then. Which, yeah, I guess it really does not sound that fucking good now. But my point is that a lot of people, to kill me, I guess is what I'm saying. To kill me, you're gonna have to be strong, be at least a ratio of strong and trained that you can beat me up. And because if it's all training, yes, if it's enough training, I'm sure you got me, right? Or if you're more prepared or you take me by surprise, cool. But I mean, all I'm doing is getting bigger and stronger. I've always been, pound for pound, one of the strongest people I've known. Always have been. And I definitely lost some of that going through, 4 years of injury recovery. And that took longer than it had to, because I didn't know exactly what I was doing. I had a lot of shortcomings, but I lost a lot of my progress. Although we're gaining a lot of it back now. I'm still someone that most people would not want to fuck with. Right now, if you're watching this video, it could be because you're one of the people that don't feel safe. You're one of the people that are more of a target for whatever reason it is. Maybe you're a female, maybe you're just a small, frail man, right? You guys should feel scared, right? Don't have a false sense of security. Don't be naive. Realize that you need to set yourself up for success, right? Because not planning to succeed is planning to fail. So don't be surprised when you're in the wrong situation and your awareness wasn't there and you get fucked. So just be careful, be smart, take care of yourself. And if you're not going to be able to make yourself someone that can protect you so you can feel secure, I definitely recommend finding someone that you can be around that makes you feel secure. Because I'm telling you that, again, a lot of the motivation behind me making this video is the fact that, again, I feel much more secure than I did at one point in my life. And I feel like I'm better because of it. Because I feel like once you're at peace, once you're secure, you're safe, you have the ability to
power on, Bluetooth mode.
You can focus now and create, and not just survive, you can thrive, okay? So that's what this is about. This is about being the best version of you. And I think to have access to that version of yourself, you have to unlock certain doors first, right? And you have to break down certain barriers. And one of those barriers is fear. And how can you end fear without feeling safe? Right? So, become hard to kill. Don't be weak. Be strong. Fight. God bless.